Thank you, Claire. It's beautiful. Good morning, everyone. Happy May 1st. I'm Reverend Barbara Winter-Martin, and I'm filling in for Reverend Kathy, who is taking a well-deserved Sunday away today. So I trust that she is relaxing somewhere and has her feet up. That's what I would wish for her. And welcome to Unity. Those of you who are, I see all your beautiful faces here, and those of you that are online, welcome in. And we're going to have some fun here today. Claire Vanderkramert is going to be sharing the music, and that means we're in for a very special treat. If you've never heard her before, you're going to enjoy it wonderfully. And let's see, what else I want to say is that I figure if you are here or you are listening and just tuning in with us today, this is the perfect place for you to be. Absolutely. So we affirm that you are in the right spot right now with this amazing group so that we can have this joint experience together. So let us start our experience together by singing our opening song. How would that be? And Claire, will you introduce that for us?
Sure. We're going to start out with It's a Good Day, because it's a good day.
It is.
Well, it's a good day for singing a song. It's a good day for moving along. It's a good day. How could anything go wrong? It's a good day for singing a song. Yes, it's a good day for shining your light. It's a good day for making it right. Everything to gain, it's all inside. It's a good day for shining your light. I said to the sun, good morning, sun. Rise and shine today. You know you gotta get going if you're gonna make a show, and you've got the right of way. And it's a good day for making things right. It's a good day from morning till night. Take a deep breath, step into the light. It's a good day for making it right. It's a good day from morning till night. It's a good day for shining your light. It's a good day.
Thank you, Claire. Good to get us moving on this rainy Sunday morning. My name is Rhonda Italiano. I am your worship assistant this morning. Chris Italiano is in the back producing the service. Yay! And we are so happy to have everyone both in-house and online. If you want to turn around and wave just above the clock, that's where our online people can see you. Good morning, good morning. All right. Well, we are going to take a moment this morning for prayer requests. So I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath, bring to mind anyone or anything that may be weighing on your heart, weighing on your mind, and we will collectively hold resolution with you. Please take a breath. We do give thanks for answered prayers, and we are reminded that it is important to give thanks even before the demonstration appears. Continuing in this prayerful presence, The daily word for today, Sunday, May 1st, is joy. I carry joy in my heart. My many happy experiences and memories may lead me to feel joyful, but I know they are not the source of my joy. One of my divine gifts, joy, is part of my spiritual identity, as close to me as my next breath. Joy wells up and spills over within me when I bring my awareness to my spiritual nature and to my oneness with all good and all life. It is an attitude I hold in mind and a feeling in my heart. The happiness I feel in life depends on my allowing my inner wellspring of joy to come forth. I nurture my joy by maintaining a regular prayer practice that enhances my awareness of God and by making time for the things that make me happiest. I go into the world grateful for the joy that resides within me, my gift to share generously. From Isaiah 55:12 we read, "For you shall go out in joy and be led back in peace." The word for today is joy. And now Claire is going to share a song to prepare us for meditation.
In the silence, there is a sacred place, a secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow ends, good is there. In the light, now you'll find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there, peace is there, truth is there, God is there.
And I just invite you to get comfortable in your seat. Take a few gentle breaths. And if you haven't done so already, I invite you to gently close your eyes. Know that right now you are in the perfect place. And know that whatever I say, if it feels true to you, it will find a home. And if it doesn't, it will flow gently by and out. Know that during this time, you can follow my words or you may go elsewhere. Wherever you go will be perfect. And so during this quiet time, I invite you to do a little exercise with me. So think of the money in your pocket or your purse or in your bank account or wallet. And as you think about that money, notice any thoughts or emotions that come to mind. Release any thoughts as to it being enough or not enough, or seemingly needing more. Release and breathe out any emotional constriction or tensions that finances bring up. See money as simply a means of exchange. For there's nothing sinister about it. It's an innocent paper or metal or plastic. It has no agenda, no motives. It only has the energy we give it. For true wealth is remembering that our source is Godness, Spirit. And if there's any place in my life where I've been imagining that my sources are finite, or that my support is limited, or I've been looking to my material wealth as my security, I invite that to simply come to mind now. Any place where I've been grasping or holding on to my abundance instead of focusing on Spirit as source, I invite it to come to mind now. And if you like, you can set an intention right now to let go of those limiting ideas, release them, exhale. And then know the truth that the seeming paradox is so true that when we let go of any attachment to materiality, then we are open to unlimited flow of divine substance. I know that any clinging, any lack thought keeps me from seeing all the abundance around me. I know that spiritual substance from which all visible wealth comes can never be depleted. It's with me all the time, wherever I am, and it simply responds to my faith in it. The wonderful news is spiritual substance is not affected by any worldly happenings, the stock market, inflation, or any external influences. But it is impacted by my thoughts and words. Spiritual substance is not affected by external happenings, but rather is called upon according to my thoughts. And one currency of spiritual's abundance often comes in the form of inspired ideas. So I affirm that from that limitless pool of divine inspiration, ideas easily come to me that propel me to my highest good, to my creative best, and to a material abundance. I know that real wealth is a state of consciousness, the consciousness that Spirit is our supply. I now understand that there is one universal eternal substance, and I can rely on it wherever I am. I know that when I take in this truth deeply, so that it becomes not just a belief, but a knowing, then I am ready to let my imagination bring to me my heart's desires. I am ready. I am ready to form this substance into tangible things. We say here every Sunday, wherever we are, God is. And that means that wherever we are, love is, joy is, peace is, and divine substance is. We are metaphorically swimming in an ocean of unlimited good. Feel the truth of that. Know at the deepest part of you that you were created to have an abundant life and create from that limitless supply so that you can meet all your heart's desires. You are already rich beyond measure. Feel it. You are rich beyond measure. And so it is. So I just invite you to take a few more gentle breaths. Feel that life energy flowing through you, all the way out to your fingertips and your toes, the tip of your nose. And when you're ready, I'm going to invite you to gently open your eyes, feeling alert, yet relaxed, energized, yet at peace.
This song kind of embodies the meditation and the thought behind that. It's called I Am the Thinker. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought have the power to change my life. And if you ask me, who am I am wisdom, I am light, so much more than meets the eye. I'm keeping this in mind. And I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought have the power to change my life. And if you ask me, what am I am stillness, I am joy, so much more than meets the eye. I'm keeping this in mind. And I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought have the power to change my life. And I can choose to be the light and brighten up the darkest night, so much more than meets the eye. I'm keeping this in mind. And I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought have the power to change my life. We have the power to change our life.
Oh, thank you, Claire. Oh, I love synchronicity. This is good. That was beautiful. Well, I did hear a story I wanted to start out with, and this was about I was a 10-year-old boy, and he was sitting on a bench in the middle of campus. He was waiting for his mom to get out of class. And he was just sitting there, and he was reading, and then he went, "Whoa, is that cool?" And a student was walking by and said, "What are you excited about?" He said, "I'm reading the Bible. And it says here, well, God parted the Red Sea so the Israelites could escape. God is cool." And the student sat down with, little, he thought he would depart some of his new wisdom to the young lad and said, "Well, actually scholars now say that, the Red Sea was only 12 inches deep, actually, where they crossed, so it really wasn't that big a deal." And so the young guy was a little confused, but he kind of look at his face. So the student felt he had departed his wisdom. He was getting up to leave, and all of a sudden, and the young boy goes, "Wow, God's cooler than I thought he was." The student looks back at him and goes, why? What makes you say that? He goes, not only did God part the Red Sea to let the Israelites escape, he drowned the entire Egyptian army in 12 inches of water. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bible's my life, you know that. Okay. Well, one of my favorite quotes from Charles Fillmore, although sometimes it's not my favorite, but it is today. It's from the atom-smashing power of mind. And he says, to be ignorant of the mind and its laws is to be a child playing with fire or a man manipulating powerful chemicals without knowing their relationship to one another. So he's kind of letting us know that mind is important, being the thinker of our thoughts type thing. And when I thought about that, I thought of, when I think of my mind, sometimes I kind of go back to, Houston Smith said in World Religions, he compared the mind, he was using the Hindu idea of it to a monkey. And sometimes I identify with that. He says, actually, the motions of the average mind, say the Hindus, are about as orderly as those of a crazed monkey cavorting about its cage. Actually, a praised, drunk monkey. And if that's not enough, perhaps this drunk and crazed monkey has St. Vitus dance, which is a physical disorder where you have uncoordinated jerking movements. It says, and to do justice actually to our mind, that's probably not enough. The mind is really a drunken, crazed monkey with St. Vitus dance who has just been stung by a wasp. And I thought, yeah, I can identify with that sometimes. Can you? Your mind sometimes does that? He says, few who have seriously tried to meditate will find this metaphor extreme. I have not found it extreme yet. The trouble with the advice to leave your mind alone, like some people will say, let it, he says, is then you're left with being a crazed monkey. I don't refer to myself as a crazed monkey. I prefer squirrel. That somehow is more contemporary for me. I don't know why. But anyways, because, I do have that where it's like squirrel and all of a sudden my mind is somewhere else. It's things. He says, the average mind can think about one thing and only one thing without slipping first into thinking about that thing and taking off from there in a sense for about 3.5 seconds. That's how long we hold a thought. I thought that was very kind, actually. But he says, like a ping pong ball, the mind will alight where its owner directs it, but only to take off immediately on a jittery flight of staccato bounces that are completely out of hand. Do you identify with that at all? It's like, it's not just that where I walk into the room and I can't remember why I went there. It's like, well, now I've sat down and I've started playing the piano, and then it's like, oh, that's right, I was cooking. It's probably not a good thing. But anyway, so he says, what if the mind could be turned from a ping pong ball, squirrel, whatever metaphor you want to use, into a lump of dough that when you throw it, it sticks to the wall until you move it? Ooh, wouldn't that be something? He says, would not its power increase if it could hold its focus like that? Would not its strength be compounded? And it would. So I was, thinking about how can we, train our minds more so that we are more like that lump of dough than the ping pong ball or whatever metaphors you want to use. And, we train our bodies. When we want to strengthen our bodies, we give them fuel. We give it water and food and that kind of thing. Then we exercise them. So we do weightlifting and all these kinds of cardio things. And nowadays, my big thing is stretching, because that's a big thing. If I don't stretch, then I find that it's harder to move around. So stretching is big. So we do those things, and then we repeat them. We keep doing those things over. You don't just feed your body once, and that was good, And there was a commercial once I loved on television where the man went to the gym for the first time, and he stepped on the scale, weighed himself, and then he jogged around the indoor track and then got back on the scale again to see what he weighed then. It's like, no, it doesn't actually work that fast. I wish it did, doesn't. It takes repetition and time. So what if we can do, how do we do that for our minds? And so I'm thinking of mind training. The first thing is, what do we fuel it with? Fuel it with only the thoughts we want. As the song said, we're the thinkers, the thoughts that we want. So also, before you start filling it up with the thoughts you want, you may need to get out some thoughts that aren't serving you. Hence, I think everyone needs a good brainwashing. And by that, I don't mean, joining a cult or doing that kind of thing, but actually washing out the thoughts that we've got in our head that don't serve us well. And I had an opportunity, it was about 1 BC, that's 1 before COVID, and it was at a camp out with my family, and my nephew was there, and we were at a bonfire at night, and we were sitting around talking, and they had made some hot cocoa, and someone offered me some hot. I said, no, I don't drink hot stuff. And oh, okay, and then it was a casual conversation as his family, and then it was like, yeah, and I don't drink. And he said, would you drink coffee? No, I don't drink coffee. And I went on to tell them about how my mom, when she was teaching me how to drink coffee, she would give me boiling hot coffee, and I burned my mouth every time I took a sip, so I never drank coffee. And then we went on, as the average ping pong ball mind will go, my mind went from that, and then my mom she used to do a lot of these interesting things, like she would make the bath water so hot that I couldn't get into it, and it was like just scalding hot, and then I'd have to wait a long time before I put one toe in, and then after about 15 minutes later, the water was like so I could get into it, and I'm chatting and with the family, we're just kind of, and my nephew goes, well, I don't drink hot things either. And I noticed that my water is, like my shower water is cooler than my wife's. And I'm listening, going, really? Isn't this fascinating? Because I secretly have had some thoughts about my husband, because we have a shower, one of those where the next person who gets in, when you turn it on, it's the same temperature of the person who was just there. And it's always real hot. And I thought, maybe my husband has some secret issues around his body, and he's, scalding himself to free himself of something or another. Yeah. And then my mind went on, that could be because he showers every day at least once, and like that's hot. And even when he's sick, it's like really maybe there's something going on with him, and that's why he uses that really hot water. And I started, you can see where my mind is going. Well, I'm talking with my nephew. We're going on and on about this, and finally I came to this revelation. He and I have a similar skin situation where we're more sensitive to heat than everyone else sitting around the campfire who could drink the coffee and the cocoa, we can't. Now, this revelation is going to require me to rethink a lot of things that I've believed for about half a century, which is, one, my mother was trying to scald me, and that when we would do dishes, I always, she would, have the water way too hot, so it would be like burn my hands, and so I did learn. When I would go to visit other people's homes, where you want to be polite and ask to help out with the dishes, I brought rubber gloves, those big heavy ones, because they kind of insulate you. Now, people do look at you strangely when you go into their kitchen, and out of your purse you pull out these big rubber gloves. They kind of wonder about that. But I learned about that because it was like people, and I couldn't quite understand why they had their water hot, but I didn't bother to think about that. I only knew my mother. But I did become aware that when at hairdressers, when I would go get my hair and they would wash my hair, I thought, so I figured out they have been having their hands in hot water for so long they can't feel anymore, and that's why they have the water so hot. Can you see what's happened in my mind? I made up this whole scenario of beliefs, whole belief system I've lived with for a really long time, and at one campfire I found out none of it was true. It was just the fact that my nephew and I are more sensitive to temperature than, if you're going on a continuum, we're way over here and most of the people are here or up there. Shocking. Which meant I had to forgive my mother for all the thoughts I had about her. I was relieved that my husband doesn't have some weird thing going on with him. And I apologized in my head to the hairdressers that I have, insisted that they could not wash my hair, you have to cut it dry. And then forgave myself for having such ridiculous ideas, but they come in, don't they? And we hang on to them. Well, I like what Mark Twain says, I've been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. Is that not it? It's like I lived this whole false experience that was never real and never based in any reality whatsoever, but I was very sincere about it. And I don't know if any of you know any people, or perhaps you have had a couple of those yourself. We want to release those. And so now I release the ideas that do not bring me joy. That's kind of my bar. Not the ones that make me feel a little righteously indignant. I don't want to hang on to those beliefs, because I had those about my mom, obviously. She had some issues I made up, and they weren't real. But I sure felt superior, because I wasn't a martyr like she was, sticking my hands in boiling water. What? She never did that. But I felt superior to her, at least. At least I knew not to be a martyr. What? Interesting. What goes on in my head can be kind of frightening, so I don't want to go too much in depth there. But the thing is, what happens is we have all these thoughts going in, and we might want to look at releasing the ones that don't serve us and don't bring us joy. Ernest Holmes, who's a wonderful New Thought teacher, said, "We have thought that outside things controlled us, when all the time we had within, which could have changed everything and given us freedom from bondage." And so some of our thoughts really hold us. They really hold us captive. They make the people the other. They do all kinds of things. We can let go of all that. And it's nothing new. In Romans, it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." There are so many things that we can do to help move out things and come into truth. A few years ago, I went to Epcot, down Disney World, and I can't remember the name of the ride, the soaring ride, if any of you are familiar with it. Oh, yeah. Now, they have signs as you enter that, as you're waiting in line, and it says, if you're afraid of heights, or if you're this or that, you may not want to go on this ride. I decided to ignore those, even though I'm fearful of heights, and et cetera, et cetera. And I got in, and I looked at the, where you sit down, and if you've been in there's a platform about a foot off the ground, and then there are chairs there, and they lock you in. There is a ceiling, which leads me to think is you can't actually fly away, because there is a ceiling, so you aren't going anywhere. And then, of course, when the ride starts, you have this immersive experience sensory-wise, because you have this beautiful screen, and you're soaring, and you're going over mountains, and you're doing all these things. I almost had a coronary. And it was like, and then I finally was like, close your eyes. Close my eyes. Oh, I'm fine. Now I'm just rocking, and I like to rock. That's no problem. And I know, my mind knows, I'm still a foot off the ground. They haven't really lifted me up anywhere. They're just moving me around to match the movement of if you were soaring. So I opened my eyes a little bit. It was pretty good. Then they went off a mountain cliff, and it was like, okay, close your eyes. Because it's like, that was not a real experience, but I was willing to take it in. My senses would take it in. It's like, what do we want to take in? And we can be selective about that. And so that ride was helpful. It's done unto you as you believe. Wise people have been telling us all along that how we believe, how we think, determines what our life is like. And so perhaps we want to, get rid of the things that don't serve us. There was a wonderful teacher, fourth grade teacher in Michigan, and she invited her class. She said, get out a piece of paper and write at the top, "I can't." And then make a list of everything that you can't do. And so some of the examples where I liked it, said, "I can't kick a soccer ball to second base. I can't do long division more than 3 numbers. I can't eat only 1 cookie. I can't stand my sister." I love that one. That was good. But anyways, they put all the "I can'ts," and they wrote them all down. And then she had them come up to her desk, and then they folded them up, and they put them in a shoebox. And then she marched the entire class outside. They stopped at the janitor's closet and got a shovel. And she dug a hole, and they buried the box. And then at this point, she said, "Boys and girls, please join hands and bow your head." And then she said, "Friends, we are gathered here today to honor the memory of I can't. While he was with us on this earth, he touched the lives of everyone, some more than others. His name, unfortunately, has been spoken in every home, public building, school, city hall, and state capitals. I can't is survived by his brothers and sisters. I can, I will, and I'm going to right away. They are not as well known as their famous relative, but perhaps someday with your help, they will make an even bigger mark on the world. May I can't rest in peace, and may everyone else pick up their lives and move forward with its absence. Amen." I like that, because Richard Bach from Illusions, one of my favorite quotes always is, "Argue for your limitations, and they're yours." And the minute I say I can't do something, by George, I can't. Isn't that amazing? So it's to start changing all those things out, because every time I say I can't, I'm doing some separation from source. Because our mind is the doorway. That's how we manifest into the world, is we connect with divine, and we create beauty. We can create anything our heart's desires. unless I say I can't do it. And then I'm right. And I like being right, but sometimes me being right is not my best interest when I've got those old thinking ideas in there. So, we feed our mind with positive thoughts, and then we exercise our mind. And I think of exercising my mind as stretching my mind. And Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. said that a mind that is stretched can never go back to its old dimensions, which is good news. So how do we stretch a mind? And I say we stretch a mind by taking on new spiritual concepts. And sometimes those new spiritual concepts are not ones that you haven't heard before, but it's taking it on at a different depth. One of my, a dear friend who's a minister was telling me that a congregant had been coming to her center for a while and wanted to speak to her afterwards and said, I like unity and all, but it's a little too basic for me, so I'm going to be moving on to something that's more challenging. And of course, she and I just laughed. We were alone, so we could laugh out loud. It was like, more challenging, because as people will look at our 5 principles. Oh, those are pretty simple. Yes, live them. I want you to actually live, it's the practice of them that is so deep and so moving. If you believe, and I believe, I have no doubt that God is goodness and everywhere present. And I get to reconcile that with everything I see out in the world. And make that make sense. That requires some depth. That requires mind stretching to be able to see that. And then we say, and we are that goodness. We are that divine goodness. Okay, if I'm really going to embrace that fully, sometimes I have to stretch how I see myself. And if I believe that love is the answer to every problem, let's see, what would be another one, that I'm 100% responsible for my experiences, that's going to require some stretching in my mind, isn't it? Because my mind will come up with, well, that can't be right because I wouldn't want this, blah, blah, blah. My mind will start doing its dance and doing all those things, and I'm back to ping pong balling. But, it's okay. The thing is, we stretch and we explore, and as you do that, we're training our mind to not assume things and not go for the first answer that comes to mind. The first thing because when we ask our minds why questions, my mind will always come up with an answer. I don't know about you. And some of them are absurd, but it's the first thing that comes into my head. Why does that happen? Well, and then I get a good why question, and it could have been, obviously I had some doozies around, hot water even. So you can see that what I want to do is explore it longer so that I can see if there's something that really is a truth that's going to show up, that I'm going to feel joy, and therefore that's the way I know that that's the one. So we feed our minds, we stretch them, and then we repeat. That's why we come here, isn't it? So that we can be together and get reminded of this thing on a regular basis. Because I don't know about you, but I need to have constant support and input so that these become the tracks of my life. The other day, Stephen was not feeling well all of a sudden. He said, will you take my temperature? I love that. Actually, we have a thermometer you just hold up to your forehead, but he wanted me to take his temperature. It's kind of cute. Okay, so I did that. And it was like, oh my goodness, you're 102 point something or another. It was like, you have a fever. And he went, oh, okay. And then 10 minutes later, he called me and he goes, will you take my temperature again? And it was 97 point something. And he's grinning. He goes, yeah. I went in and I did my special healing meditation I've been working on. It's good. He was thrilled. And then it was maybe 2 weeks later, in the morning, he said, oh, I didn't sleep well last night because my foot was bugging me. I said, well, did you do your meditation? Oh, I completely forgot about that. Now, wouldn't you think as human beings, well, no, you wouldn't, obviously, is that if we do something and you get miraculous results, you would do that all the time. Nah, not necessarily. It doesn't pop into my mind the first thing. The first thing is like, oh, geez, Louise, why did that happen? Which is a dumb question because then my whys, and I'll get some really absurd ideas coming in, and I got to get those out of there again. So we come together and we practice, and we support each other in living from this knowing that it's all good and that we're part of that. And then we just get to be cheerleaders for each other, and that's key, and that's probably, I think, the important part of why this community and other similar communities are so important, because we can do that for each other. And I have great compassion for people who don't have a community like that at present, so it isn't as natural for them to come into these ideas. I want to close with a little story I heard about a gentleman who was about to retire, and he was going to give his business to one of his 3 adult children. So he decided that he would decide who to give it to by a little test. So he got them together, and they had a small barn and warehouse, not a huge building, but a medium-sized little warehouse. And he decided that whoever could fill the warehouse least expensively, saving the most money, would be the one who should run the business. And so the first child filled the building with sand. And he went, oh, that was really ingenious, because that doesn't cost a whole lot, and that was great. And I'm probably going to give the business to them. The second child, though, surprised him, and he filled the building with those biodegradable foam peanut things that you use for packing material, which I guess was cheaper than sand. And he filled the whole building with these peanuts, foamy peanut things. And he went, wow, that's fabulous. The creativity here, you're the one. And then the third person pulled out a match and lit a candle. And of course, the glow from the candle lit the entire building. And I love that story because it reminds me of who we are, because we are light. When they say we're the light of the world, we are. And when I forget that, then I don't bother to own it and celebrate it and use it. We are lights. We are, that goes on beyond what we can even imagine. And when I remember that and value myself and value who we each are in this world, it changes everything. So my wish for you this week is that, that you experience yourself as that divine light, and that you rejoice and get to be delighted by the experience of being you in the world. And so it is.
I loved your Mark Twain quote about envisioning so many horrible things, and a couple of them actually happened.
Yeah.
It reminds me of another of my favorite Mark Twain quotes, and that's, and it's a limited perception, a lack of evolving. And that's when Mark Twain said, when I was 16, I thought my father was an absolute buffoon, no insight, no wisdom. And then when I was 21, I was amazed at the wisdom he had gained in those few years.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have to, in the title to this next song that has to do with brainwashing, but the good kind, it's called Resolve to Evolve. Used to be so unhappy, life used to feel so unkind. I went to see my Maharishi, he was a janitor at the time. He said, you're thinking like a one-celled zygote, acting like a dinosaur, and you won't find no peace of mind till you learn your life can be more. Resolve to evolve, get on the spiritual path. You can resolve to evolve. evolve. Give your brain a metaphysical bath. You can't resolve to evolve. Leave your mental baggage behind. It may sound strange, but the world won't change until you rearrange your mind. Now the ego sits in the driver's seat, got a death grip on that wheel, got the pedal to the metal, does whatever it feels. But consciousness is riding shotgun, says slow this vehicle down. Time to check, time to select which direction we're bound. Resolve to evolve. Get on the spiritual path. You can resolve to evolve. Give your brain a metaphysical bath. You can resolve to evolve. Leave your mental baggage behind. It may sound strange, but the world won't change until you rearrange your mind. Fly if the I, me, my keeps dragging you down, and you won't grow if you don't know what keeps you spinning around and around and around. You can evolve and evolve. Get on the spiritual path. You can resolve to evolve. Just give your brain a metaphysical bath. You can resolve to evolve. Leave your mental baggage behind. It may sound strange, but the world won't change until you rearrange your mind. And it may sound strange, but the world won't change until you rearrange your mind.
Thank you, Claire. That was awesome. Between the talk and the music, I've got some things to think about here. I don't know about you. We are now at the point in our service when we bless our offering. So if you have a physical offering, you can put that in your hand. Otherwise, you can put your hand over your heart. Think about whatever it is that you brought today to release. And if you would please say the blessing of the offering with me. Divine love flowing through me now blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. It was this collective breath in the room. I don't know if you heard that. And now Claire has an offering song to share with us.
My gift goes forth on the wings of love, and it lands where it can heal and bless. It returns to me, multiplied 1,000-fold, as the universe says yes, yes, as the universe says yes.
And we have some announcements today, community news. The Unity North Visioning Evening Part 3, which is facilitated by Reverend Kathy, will take place on Tuesday, May 10th from 6:30 to 8:30 via Zoom. So Reverend Kathy and the board invite you to join us as we go through this visioning process for our spiritual center. And everyone is welcome to that event. If you have not previously attended, please contact Brandy so that she can get you registered for that. The Sacred Abundance class that Reverend Kathy and Wanda Horner-Carlson were going to teach has been postponed until later in the year, so please stay tuned for a date on that. National Day of Prayer Gathering. That will take place this coming Thursday, May 5th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. Reverend Kathy and the prayer chaplains invite you to experience a peaceful hour, including readings, meditation, and prayers for our country and our world. The Monday evening chat with Gina Booth will take place tomorrow, Monday, May 2nd at 7 p.m. This is an ongoing event, so you are welcome to join for that discussion and social hour. And the address is on your screen, or you can find that on the website. The men's group meets the second Thursday in person and the fourth Thursday via Zoom at 7 p.m. If you would like more information about that, please contact Jim Cox. The next meeting is on Thursday, May 12th, and that will be in person. The Wheel of the Year Shamanic Series with Carl Schlotterbeck will take place on Tuesday, May 10th at 7 p.m. And if you would like to register for that, please contact Anne Mongeau. And finally, this morning, our prayer chaplain is Gretchen Hansen. She will be available to pray with you after the service, and her phone number is listed there on the screen, and I bet if we ask nicely, Chris will put that in the chat for us. We have to ask nicely. Would you please put that in the chat? All right. And I am going to turn things back over to Reverend Barbara to lead us in the prayer for protection. After the peace song, if you would like, you are welcome to stay tuned for some social time.
Wonderful. Shall we stand for the prayer of protection? And together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
And here we go with the peace song. Everybody ready to sing? Let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, peace that was meant to be, with God as our creator, family whole are we. Let us walk with each other when perfect
usually let the online people speak first so that we can hear them more clearly. Look at that, they're waving at us.
Candy wants to speak as usual.
Of course, please.
I have to leave early because I get to FaceTime with my little 5-month-old grandson, but I wanted to thank you very much, Barbara. I woke up this morning very angry and telling some people off really badly and couldn't get that out of my head. So perfect timing. I needed that reminder. So thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Bye, Candy. Curse your grandson for us.
Yeah, I will. Okay, thanks.
Bye. Yes, Jim. Oh, you're on mute, Jim.
Thank you. I also want to echo my appreciation for the message too, because it helped me get a better handle on, it's high time to start evaluating my goofy dreaming too. Any dream I have that I'm aware of dreaming is really goofy stuff, so it kind of dismisses. So it's worth timing to kind of go, okay, what is really going on there? And then secondly, I also have noticed over the many, many months in our messages, news at the end of each service. And I appreciate very much the announcements typically do include the men's group. And I also thought, well, today I'll point out that, 80-90% of all of our attendants at every Sunday service are women. And also to say that the typical attendance at the men's group is 3 guys, typically the same 3 guys. Maybe one of the 3 switches off, but because one of them only attends the Zoom meetings and not the in-person ones. So what's all that about is, with all the women that are so regularly attending, I would guess that you have many loved ones and friends that are men. If you ever feel comfortable encouraging them or sharing with them my contact information, it would be absolutely wonderful and beneficial for all of us guys who do attend, that more guys attend so we can have more complete exchanges of different views of what's going on for me today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. So an invitation to the men.
Well, to the women to invite the men they know and love.
There you go. The men are not always in the room. Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else online want to jump in here? I see Wanda waving. Did you want to speak or you just wanted to say hi? Just wanted to say hi. Okay. All right. Anyone in-house have anything they want to share? All right. Well, Reverend Kathy has promised that she's going to think up some icebreakers for us so that she's got something to have us think about while we're in this social time. So